Ladies and gentlemen, let me to introduce my presentation with the topic the importance of manor gardens for protection of local nature habitats. I do it with my colleagues from Silva Tarouca Research Institute for Landscape and Horticulture and from Institute of Botany of Academy of Sciences of the Czech Republic. We focused on manor gardens because in connection with land use changes in the cultural landscape, a significant loss and degradation of nature habitats has occurred. The fragmentation and loss of nature habitats is one of the principal challenges for plant biodiversity conservation, and it's connected to the environmental degradation and occurred in Europe during the second half of the 20th century. Primarily due to intensified agricultural land management practices and increased urbanization. On the other hand, historical gardens established on manors and castles from the 16th to the 19th centuries form an integral part of the European cultural landscape. Attention is particularly focused on its cultural heritage and aesthetic recreational values. Recent study revealed that manor gardens may also serve as local hotspots of biodiversity and provide cultural ecosystem services within both urban areas and in rural landscape. In many cases, during the manor garden creation, the local nature habitats, e.g. species-rich meadows and nature forests, were incorporated to increase the overall value of the park or garden. Additionally, due to long-time nature-friendly management techniques, the newly established meadows and tree plantations began functioning as nature meadow and forest habitats within the less intensely managed sections of the gardens. So we propose two research questions. The first, what is the proportion of nature habitats in manor gardens in comparison with the surrounding landscape? And the second, what is the position of manor gardens as nature habitat refugia in landscapes with a high level of human impact in comparison with those having a low level of human impact? Our study area is the entire territory of the Czech Republic and gardens in the Czech Republic. I must to say that landscape gardens are the most common type because they are the last universal garden design. In terms of land area, the gardens differ markedly. The model sample ranges from 0.06 hectares to 288 hectares, where the average size is 15.5 hectares. But the most numerous are small manor gardens within villages and small towns. Use data sources, Korean land cover data, nature habitats mapping, Natura 2000, database of historic gardens and parks of the Czech Republic that contains about 700 items, and the demographic database of the Czech Statistical Agency. About data processing, the territory of the Czech Republic was overlaid with a square grid of 10 longitudinal and 6 latitudinal minutes, and the index of anthropogenic impact of vegetation for each square was calculated and we used Korean land cover data for this calculation. We used index K that measure human impact on ecosystems, and this index is created like share of areas nature of semi-nature like forests, shrubs, grasslands, wetlands and water bodies on the one side, and on the other side artificial surfaces like urban spaces, mines, leisure facilities, etc., and agricultural areas such as arable land, gardens, orchards, etc. To 100 gardens throughout the Czech Republic were randomly selected, and the selected squares intersected by the selected gardens were overlaid with nature habitat mapping data, and the proportion of nature habitats were calculated for each garden and each surrounding landscape in squares. We made statistical analysis using the Canonical 5 software and conducted for first the proportion of nature habitats formation groups, and second selected forest and secondary grasslands habitat groups. The purpose was to identify the relation to the level of human impact and the gradient of habitation in the vicinity of the garden area. The meadow gardens and the surrounding landscape were compared. Proportion of nature habitat types in parks versus squares were calculated according to the Wilcoxon test, separated for landscapes with high and low levels of human impact. Landscapes with a high and low level of human impact were compared. And now a few words about the results. The difference between the proportion of nature habitats in gardens and their surrounding areas in landscape with a high level of human impact is significantly higher than the difference found in landscapes having a low level of human impact. This indicates a stronger importance of gardens as nature habitat refugia in landscape having a high level of human impact. Now more detail about the habitat groups. The first are forests. Forests are more frequent in gardens than in surrounding landscapes having a high level of human impact generally. Forest stands are more frequently present in gardens located within small population centers. And the large gardens in landscapes of low human impact serve as a refuge of beech and ravine forest. On the other hand, a higher proportion of ravine forest, aldercars and alluvial forest, as well as oak hornbeam and oak forest, was found in gardens in comparison with surrounding landscapes having both high and low levels of human impact. In contrast, no significant differences were found for the proportion of beech forests in gardens versus the surrounding landscapes. Secondary grasslands are more frequent in gardens than in surrounding landscapes with a higher level of human impact in general. Secondary grasslands are present more frequently in gardens that are near human settlements with a higher population. However, the garden area does not have an impact on the proportion of secondary grasslands. The occurrence of mesic and monta meadows is related to small gardens. Wet meadows, grasslands, and tall for vegetation, as well as alluvial Alopeculus meadows, are found more frequently in gardens with a high number of yearly inhabitants. Water at wetland habitats. Streams and water bodies are more frequent in gardens than in surrounding landscapes having both a high and low level of human impact. Gardens play an important role as a refuge for wetlands and riverine vegetation, especially for landscapes having a low level of human impact, where the proportion of wetlands and riverine vegetation is higher in gardens than in the surrounding landscape. Wetlands and riverine vegetation are present more frequently in gardens that are near settlements with a higher population. The garden area does not have an impact on their proportion. Streams and water bodies are bound to small gardens found in landscapes having a low level of human impact. The results of An unstate unimodal gradient analysis showed the relation of the proportion of nature habitat formation groups in manor gardens versus the level of human impact, park area, and vicinity habitation. We can see that especially secondary grasslands and wetlands and riverine vegetation are more frequent are dependent in vicinity of inhabitation. On the other hand, forests are more dependent on park area. Other results show it in nature habitats types, and we can see that the most important is the proportion of human impact, followed by park area and vicinity inhabitation. Conclusions. The results confirm that manor gardens compared with the surrounding landscapes play an important role in the conservation of nature habitats. Based on the comparison of a select proportion of nature habitats types, Sensu Natura 2000, in gardens and surrounding landscapes in the Czech Republic, it was documented that first, and the most important, manor gardens as a nature habitat refuge are more important in landscapes having a high level of human impact than those having a low level of human impact. Streams and water bodies, alder-karst and alluvial forest, hornbeam forest and oak forest and robin forest are relatively more frequent in gardens than in the surrounding landscape, regardless the level of human impact. However, no differences have been confirmed from beech forest for 8-day proportion in gardens or the surrounding landscapes. Wetlands and riverine vegetation are relatively more frequent in gardens than in surrounding landscapes, having a low level of human impact. In contrast, mesic and montane meadows, in addition to alluvial alopeculous meadows, are relatively more frequent in gardens than in surrounding landscapes, having a high level of human impact. Thank you for your attention, and we published our results in the paper Manor Gardens, Harbors or of Local Nature Habitats in Biological Conservation. So you can read the detailed results and discussion there, and I thank you for your attention, and I hope we will see personally on other conference, congress when it will be possible. Thank you.